Here. My name is Allie Harris, and I am a population health specialist with Apex Benefits. And I have been helping with the Workplace Wellness at Home series, typically on Mondays for Meditation Mondays. I'm a certified yoga instructor and have been doing some of those activities with you. And today I am shifting a little bit into more of that health coaching role and doing a lifestyle medicine presentation for you. So I'm really excited to share this information with you guys today. And when we're getting started here, I really want you to think about, when I say the word lifestyle, what comes to mind? In thinking through what are maybe 8 or 10 lifestyle factors that promote good health. These are things that we're going to kind of talk about throughout the day. So I'm just kind of getting your brains working here this morning, this afternoon, and then thinking about what kind of lifestyle do you live? So when we think about lifestyle factors that promote good health, what kind of things are you already doing really well? And what are some things that you think you could maybe improve on? So the American Heart Association bases cardiovascular health on 7 different risk factors that people can focus on to improve through lifestyle changes. And I'll kind of get into what that means here in a second. But when we're talking about different lifestyle factors, we're looking at smoking status, physical activity, your weight, your nutrition, and then different biometric markers. So whether you are in HR or you are an employee of one of our clients, wherever you're at, maybe you have had to do some on-site biometric screenings or you've had to go to your physician. So this is all kind of tying in together to say, why is it important to look at those markers and the behaviors that we are doing throughout our day? So moving on here to get into that definition of lifestyle medicine. What is lifestyle medicine? The American College of Lifestyle Medicine defines it as an evidence-based approach to preventing, treating, and even reversing diseases by replacing unhealthy behaviors with positive ones. So this is the topic that we are going to be diving deep into today. So we're really looking for the root cause of our medical and health issues that we're having. So I am not saying by any means that medicine or a prescription from a doctor is not needed. Oftentimes it is the solution, and that is something that you need to look for or talk to a doctor about. But there's also a lot of times when we're talking about chronic disease management, that there are some behaviors that we can focus on and change that we do on a daily basis that are going to help reverse and treat some of those diseases. And that's what we're kind of talking about today. What are some things that we can do, simple changes that are going to make us healthier overall? Now, what does this look like when I'm at the doctor? Sometimes, and it's a little bit different right now with the situation that we are in with COVID-19, but most of the time when we go to the doctor, we go for an acute visit. Where maybe we have an ear infection, we have strep throat, we maybe have some skin irritations, but they're going to treat you for the symptoms. And with that treatment, your acute situation should quickly subside. Now, when you go to the doctor and you are being treated for a chronic condition, maybe high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, you might have a conversation with your doctor about getting a prescription, which will work to maintain or bring your levels back into a normal range. And some doctors might have that conversation with you about some behavior modifications, lifestyle changes that you can do to help improve your health. And this is where lifestyle medicine comes in. And maybe some doctors will do a combination of both, of prescribing medication and talking about some changes that you can do. And what we're talking about here today is being mindful of some things that, some different areas. So we're going to dive deep into some food choices, managing your stress, being physically active, avoiding risky substance abuse, getting plenty of sleep, and having a strong emotional support system. And sometimes these things that I just mentioned are just what the doctor ordered. These things really are powerful when it comes to preventing, treating, and reversing those chronic diseases, and even some autoimmune conditions. So the areas that we're going to focus on today, it's more of a holistic approach to your health. And I want you to do a self-inventory and make a note of these 6 things. Which one do you feel like you have the highest mark that you would rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? I am about a 9 or a 10, and I really feel like I am killing it when it comes to being physically active these days. And think about maybe one of these 6 areas that you might need to prioritize a little bit more. So if you are extremely stressed and you would rate yourself maybe a 3 or 4, kind of hone in on that when we talk about that today and make some notes of some things. I'll leave you today with a little challenge to pick one of these areas and set a small goal to see how we can improve that. So just me personally, I feel like with this whole working at home, not going into the office, I have had a little bit more time to be a little bit more physically active, where we've gone on family walks and I've gotten my steps in. And even when I need some alone time at night, my husband takes the kids and I might go on a walk by myself. So I feel like I've kind of worked on that being at home, and it's killed 2 birds with 1 stone, because it's kind of helping me manage my stress as well, getting outside and getting some fresh air. Now I could probably be a little bit more mindful of my healthy eating. I'm sitting about 4 feet away from the refrigerator right now, and it is very easy to snack. A lot easier to snack right now than it is when I am in the office working. So just keep these things in mind as we go through this presentation. But what I'm going to do is break down these 6 areas and kind of talk about them and give you some helpful tips to improve. Now, this isn't an overhaul. I wouldn't expect you to say, all right, tomorrow I'm going to hit 5 of these 6 things and going to become perfect. It's more of getting that foundational education and feeling like, oh, that really stuck with me. I want to try this. I want to kind of test it out and see how I do. The first one that we are going to hit on is nutrition. And the reason why I am doing this first is because food trumps all. Period. End of story. Food is fuel. So I will tell you, next Wednesday, Grace Bennett is one of our registered dietitians, and she is going to do an even deeper dive into nutrition on the Wellness Wednesday webinar. So make sure you tune into that if you want even a deeper dive. But really today, what we're going to be looking at, I have a handout that is attached to this webinar as well. So you might be able to find it. I think it's going to be on the right-hand side of your screen. If you have any issues finding it, please feel free to send me an email and I can get that to you afterwards. But this handout is Foundations of a Healthy Diet. And Grace actually helped me by putting this together. And I love how simple but yet effective this handout is. So this screen shows 2 pages of the nutrition handout, and then there's also 2 more pages we'll go over here next. As a health coach, I get a lot of questions when it comes to nutrition, and they seem to fall into 2 categories: helping to understand what is actually healthy, the ins and outs of nutrition, and how to actually change our diet. So the daily choices and behaviors to choose foods that are on this list. But today we're going to be focusing on the first of that 2 categories that I just mentioned. So making sure that you have the foundational nutrition information that you need. So we'll just kind of run through this handout for you here. A healthy diet can include all foods, and I really want to hit that home. There is balance. There has to be balance in our diet. Our body needs some healthy fats. Sometimes our stress needs some sugary foods. So everything can have a place in the diet. However, it is higher in some things and lower in others. So when you look at this first page here, I want you to see what things should we be eating more of. It's in that green. So fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, seeds, lean proteins, and low-fat dairy. Lower, so our diet should be or could be lower in empty calorie foods. So it's going to be some packaged processed foods, fried foods, fatty meats, cream-based dishes, sodas, refined carbs. So when you look at this plate method, I really like this. Gives you kind of a good visual as to when you look at your plate and you're sitting down to eat a meal, what portion size should I be eating of each of these areas? So there's always vegetables, 50%, leafy greens, fruits and starchy vegetables, non-starchy vegetables. The whole grains, about 25% of your plate, so about a quarter of that, a quarter lean proteins, and then a serving of low-fat dairy, so some yogurt, cheese, and milk. When you want to look at what does that really mean? When you say lean proteins and you say fruits and veggies and whole grains, what does that actually mean? What are some things that are good, maybe better than others? That kind of moves us onto the right-hand side of this handout: produce, grains, protein. And then I will flip over to the next page here where it breaks it down into dairy, eggs, frozen foods, canned and dry foods, snacks, and then other beverages. So I really want you to save this handout, maybe take it with you to the grocery store or have it handy when you're making your next grocery list, and kind of maybe pull one or two things from this list so that you can start to look at it, incorporate them into your diet. Maybe you've had a conversation with your doctor that said, you have high blood pressure. We want you to maybe eat some less foods with lower sodium. What would that typically look like? If you have some high cholesterol, there might be some, with looking at your saturated fats. There's lots of things when it comes to nutrition that when we make small daily choices can help improve those numbers. Moving on to the second section of our lifestyle medicine. So what area can we do, make some improvements on to help us with those chronic diseases? The second one is exercise. So regular and consistent physical activity that can be maintained on a daily basis throughout life, like walking, gardening, push-ups, lunges. I like this picture. I put this on here for a reason because a lot of times when we see exercise or working out, it's kind of this high expectation of I need to be, on the top of a mountain doing a super hard yoga pose and look perfect doing it. And oftentimes I feel like I'm on the bottom of the screen here where I can hardly touch my toes and it's really uncomfortable and I don't really want to be working out. And this is awful. Why do people do this? So I kind of feel this. I feel these two people on my screen here. And I like to shift and reframe exercise a little bit in my mind where exercise does not have to be miserable. It does not have to be uncomfortable. There are probably a lot of things that you like to do to move your body that is classified more as movement, not exercise. So when you think about how do I like to move? Do I like to dance? Do I like to walk? Do I like to garden? Maybe I don't like to do push-ups and burpees and, run as fast as I can. But there are other things that you can do to do movement. Move your body in a positive way, whether it be stretching, anything that you do. Maybe you have a Fitbit. What are your average steps? Who exercises in the morning? Who likes to do it in the evening? Maybe you like to have someone who is an accountability partner, or it's a family walk where you can socialize as well. But I want you to think about maybe what do I want to do rather than what I feel like I should do. Because when we get into the shoulds, that's where it's kind of like a fight as far as I don't really want to do it. But when we track or when we connect movement and exercise with something that we want to do, we feel more positive about it, and we're more likely to do it. So if we can find something that we will stick to, and it doesn't have to be an hour or 45 minutes. It can be in small segments throughout the day. So I really feel like this is something where when we get that increased activity, just like I said in the beginning, I kind of killed two birds with one stone. It also helps me reduce my stress and my anxiety. So when I get some movement in, I feel calmer throughout the day. So I've made that one of my non-negotiables, some sort of movement throughout my day. The third area that we are going to talk about, lifestyle changes that we can do to help our health, is avoiding risky substance abuse. So anytime we get into, and tobacco is listed on the visual here, but that doesn't, when we're talking about avoiding risky substance abuse, it doesn't just mean tobacco. It's breaking the cycle and using replacement behaviors to break a cycle that you know is not healthy for you. So it could be alcohol, it could be wine, it could be tobacco, it could be cigars, it could a variety of things. So there are a lot of different resources out there, and I actually put this picture on here, and this is from Quit Now, Indiana, which is actually a free resource to anyone in the state. And a lot of companies, whether you're, again, an HR or an employee of a company, there are a lot of companies that offer a monetary incentive with their insurance plan to either not be a smoker, but then also they also cover a lot of medications to aid in this process as well. So 1-800-QUIT-NOW is the number that you can call if this is something that you know you want to do, or have a family member or friend who has been looking to quit. Most states have similar programs to this. So if you're not in Indiana, that is fine too. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I can get you connected with some resources to work on that. So we will move on to the next one here, stress. And I want to reference, just like I said, hey, next week, make sure when you're talking about nutrition, you tune into Grace's deep dive into nutrition next Wednesday. We also have all of our webinars recorded. So if you did not have a chance to tune into our webinar from last week, Liz Greer did a webinar on stress. And this would be something that I would say, if you are knowing I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling anxious, I need some practical solutions that I can implement throughout my day, I would highly suggest go back and watch that recorded version of Liz's last webinar. But just to kind of give you an overview of stress today, I'll ask the question, do you think our bodies know the difference between good stress and bad stress? And do you know the difference between good stress and bad stress? Because there is such a thing. So good stress, kind of when you think about when you get amped up for something exciting that you're wanting to do, or you're feeling a little bit nervous before you go up and present on stage, or have to sing in front of people. There's an amount of stress that helps us perform. But then there is also an amount of stress that it kind of puts us over that tipping point, and we are not functioning at our best. And believe it or not, our bodies do not know the difference between good stress and bad stress. It can lead us to improved health and productivity, but once you reach that tipping point, it can lead into that anxiety, depression, making poor health choices. And this is where we're talking about what kind of things can we do to help recognize the negative stress, and what kind of coping mechanisms can we put in place to help reduce the stress and help us and improve our health and well-being. And when we're talking about our overall health, there's so many different things with what kind of state we are in that our body is feeling has so many impacts on the way we think, the way we feel, and honestly, even the way we digest our food. So there's some really interesting studies out there that even show, if we are eating in a stressful state, our body is not going to digest and metabolize those nutrients that we're getting in the same way. So when you hear people say, sit down for 20 minutes and eat a meal, or eat your food slowly, taking some deep breaths before you're eating a meal, there is a reason for that. And it honestly helps our body trick itself back into that calmer state. So even if you're high stress, you're eating on the go, you're going, one of those things that we can do is just take a step back, take some deep breaths, and try to slow down a little bit. Sleep. I think this is our fifth area of lifestyle medicine that has a pretty impactful, a significant impact on our overall health. So the lack of or poor quality of sleep can lead to decreased ability to recover from illness. So if you think about how many hours of sleep are you getting a night? Is it less than 4? Is it 4 to 6? Are you an 8-hour sleeper? Sleep deprivation can affect our mood, can make us irritable, can cause problems with our relationships, especially for children and teenagers. So I know our schedules are off right now. We're working from home. There really might not be a schedule or routine. Everything is a little bit off. So what is something that is controllable, whether we have more time or we don't? How do you prioritize your sleep? How do you prioritize your sleep? Typically, it's the first thing that goes. So when we get overwhelmed or have a long to-do list, we stay up later. We might be doing work up until late at night, or maybe we work so much throughout the day that we tune out and we veg out at the end of the day, and we turn on the TV, and then who knows how many hours or shows later, it's late and we are finally ready to sleep. This is something that I struggle with. I know a lot of people struggle with as well. But sleep is so important, but yet often the first thing that goes when we are ready to kind of shift to do other things. The last thing that we'll do here is relationships. How do relationships impact our health? I think now more than ever, I think with COVID-19 and social distancing and having to be by ourselves and isolated, we feel this more than ever. And maybe if you don't feel it, you know or see through social media, other people are feeling it. So when we don't have that connection that we are used to, it can be a very big detriment to our health. Maybe it causes stress, or we feel lonely and we turn to other things to help us feel better or to cope. When we feel isolated or alone, there are a lot of different things that we can do to reach out, but sometimes we don't feel like it. We don't feel like asking for help or making that phone call or picking up the phone when someone tries to call you. But there's a very impactful scientific research that says, strong social connection increases our life expectancy, our immune systems, helps you recover from diseases faster. So really kind of think about, is this an area that you are feeling now more than ever? Are there things that once things get to back to quote unquote normal that you want to continue or do more of? So just think about that. To kind of wrap it up here, I think, why are we talking about this? Why is it important to know what kind of things do I need to be focusing on in my lifestyle, my day-to-day choices, to help me feel better? I go to the doctor. They should be able to figure it out. They need to tell me what I need to do. But really, this is such an important thing for us to be our own best advocate. So physicians can embrace lifestyle medicine. They can have those conversations with you, but we as individuals also have to accept personal responsibility for our own health. We can't wait for someone to give us the magic pill. If we know we need to lose some weight, if we know we need to make some changes in our diet, we know we need to get up and move a little bit more. We can't wait on everyone else to just come up with a magic cure. There's prevention that we can do in our daily life. There are health coaches out there that can help you put small, simple, steps in place for you to be able to reach those goals, and really the daily small goals to then reach your overarching goals. What I want you to do, I'm going to move on to this last handout here that I've also attached to the webinar, and it is called SMART Goals. So I want you to think about, of the 6 areas that we talked about today, which one did you feel like, yep, I knew from the beginning I was knocking it out of the park? And let's just give yourself a big pat on the back, give yourself a little hug and say, great job on that one. What area do you know you need some work on? So really, I don't want you to feel like I'm overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start. I need to do all of this. I want one thing. I want you to use that handout, print it out, save it in the PDF. I don't know what you need to do to write it down, but write down your goal. Don't just think about it. I want you to write it down somewhere. Even if you don't print off the handout, get a scrap piece of paper out, write something down right now, whether it be nutrition, exercise, substance abuse, stress, sleep, healthy relationships. And I want you to make a SMART goal. So use this handout where it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. What kind of things and resources do you need to have in place so that you can accomplish this goal? So that's my challenge to you that I'm going to leave you with today. What kind of thing, what area needs your most attention and focus? I want you to take a couple minutes after this webinar, write it down, and find someone to even be your accountability partner. That's an extra challenge. So if there's someone that you know is going to hold you accountable, let them know what you're working on. Maybe challenge them to work on something as well. So I'm going to wrap up today with just some of the resources that I used for this presentation today. Again, my name is Allie Harris, and my email address is aharris@apexbg.com. If you have any questions or follow-up comments, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Hopefully we will see you again on Friday for Fitness Friday. Have a good rest of your day and take care. Stay safe.